Hi guys, welcome to my old school RuneScape Kingdom Management Guide. Please note that 1 Defense Pures will be unable to access Kingdom Management as the Heroes quest and the Fremnik Trials quest must be completed. Kingdom Management is a profitable activity that I recommend to anyone playing old school RuneScape. It only requires a few minutes of your time once a day, once every few days, or even once a week. Based off of current prices at the time of this guide, you can easily make over 100k every day pure profit with minimal effort. Even if you're a specific account build, such as an Iron Man, you can choose to manage your kingdom in a way that is most beneficial to your goals and to get a hold of items that may be difficult to obtain through other methods. To access Kingdom Management, you must first have completed the quest Throne of Miscellania. However, it is highly recommended to have also completed the quest Royal Trouble to receive the maximum daily profit possible. I've made guides for both these quests, which are linked in the description below should you need any help completing them. You will also need one or more of the following depending on how you choose to gain approval rating: a pickaxe, a woodcutting axe, a harpoon or lobster pot, and a rake. You can buy the harpoon or lobster pot from a fishing store in Miscellania or Etcetera. It's 6 GP for a harpoon and 26 GP for a lobster pot. And you can also buy a rake from an NPC just outside the castle on Miscellania by the weedy flax and herb patches for 15 GP each, should you ever forget. There is also a bank available on the northeast coast of Etcetera should you forget any of the items you need, and I'll explain where these are used later on so you can work out which of them you should bring. It is also strongly recommended to have at least 750k coins if you've completed Royal Trouble, or at least 500k coins if you have only completed Throne of Miscellania. You do not need these amounts, however it is strongly recommended, as having less will significantly reduce the maximum potential profits you can make from kingdom management each day. Having completed the Fremnik Medium Diaries or Elite Fremnik Diaries is a bonus, but by no means necessary at all. This will give you a slight bonus to how quickly you can gain approval rating. This benefit is automatically applied upon completion of the diaries and does not require you to equip the Fremnik Sea Boots. To begin, you will need a method of getting to the island of Miscellania. One of the fastest methods of getting to Miscellania is by using a charged Ring of Wealth. Right click the ring and select Rub. Then select Miscellania from the list of options, and this teleport will take you just east of the entrance to the castle of Miscellania. Another fast method of getting to Miscellania is by using the fairy ring network. Get to the closest fairy ring possible for you. Some fast methods of doing this are by using a quest point cape teleport and running slightly east of the entrance to the Legends Guild, or by using a Slayer ring teleport and teleporting to the Fremnik Slayer cave, running out of the cave and then slightly west. You could also use an Amulet of Glory teleport to Edgeville and run east across the bridge and then slightly south, or you could even use the Ardoin Cloak teleport to the monastery and run east to the nearby fairy ring. Once you are at a fairy ring, the code to get to Miscellania is CIP. This code is easy to remember as you just need to click the left letter wheel twice in the same direction. This fairy ring code will also be saved in your fairy ring code log should you completely forget it. I like to favorite this fairy ring code on the fairy ring code log, so whenever I need to get to Miscellania I can just easily left click on the code up the top once. You have to keep going back to Miscellania to manage your kingdom, so anything to speed up the process of getting there will be useful. When you've entered the code, you'll be taken to a fairy ring just north of the castle on Miscellania. Alternatively, you can travel to Miscellania using a boat from the dock in Rellekka, which is free of charge. This will take you to the dock of Miscellania. If you're having any trouble getting to Rellekka, you can use an enchanted lyre teleport to your house in Rellekka, teleport using the Fremnik Sea Boots, use a scroll of redirection on a player-owned house tab, or run from Camelot. Now that you are on Miscellania or Etcetera, it is time to manage your kingdom. There are 3 things you must do to get the most out of your kingdom, no matter whether you want to make the most money or collect specific resources. The first is increasing your approval rating. This map shows how you can increase your approval rating by helping the subjects around Miscellania and Etcetera with a variety of tasks and where those tasks are located. Note you can only help subjects located on Etcetera if you've completed Royal Trouble. The percentages next to each activity you can help your subjects with reflects the approximate amount your approval rating will increase while assisting in that activity. Your approval rating can range from 0% to 100%. If your approval rating is not at 100%, you will lose profit while managing your kingdom, as the amount of resources collected by your kingdom is determined by your approval rating multiplied by the amount of money withdrawn out of the coffers as a salary that day. For example, if your approval rating is 97% and 75k is withdrawn that day, 0.97 multiplied by 75,000, so 72,750 GP, will be spent on gathering resources for that day, and 2,250 GP will be wasted. So you simply want to keep your approval rating at 100% as often as possible. Every 24 hours your approval rating will drop by 1%, and if you've not yet completed Royal Trouble, your approval rating will drop by 2.5% in this 24-hour period instead. It is believed the exact time this 24-hour approval rating timer resets is based off of when you first completed the Throne of Miscellania quest. Please note that killing civilians or Skraelings will lower your approval rating by 5%, and stealing from a store will lower your approval rating by 2%. It may seem obvious, but you could misclick on one, and they all seem to have 1 HP, so are very easy to kill by accident. Killing Skraelings and stealing from the stalls on Etcetera, however, does not affect your approval rating. If at any time you want to check your approval rating, you can do so by speaking to Advisor Grimm, who is located next to King Varghese upstairs in the castle on Miscellania. You can also speak to Advisor Grimm using the Lunar Magic spell called NPC Contact. If you are just starting Kingdom Management for the first time, or you just haven't done it in a while, your approval rating may be quite low. So in a second I'll show you 2 fast methods of getting it to 100%, and then I'll show you some super easy ways of keeping it at 100%. There are 2 methods I recommend for increasing your approval rating as fast as possible. The first requires level 10 farming and level 45 woodcutting, as well as the best woodcutting axe you have access to, and a rake or 15 GP. You can rake weeds from the herb and flax plots next to Gardener Gunhild. If you don't have a rake, you can buy one off of her for 15 GP. Once the weeds have cleared, go over and cut maple trees with Lumberjack Life until the weeds next to Gardener Gunhild respawn. When they have respawned, go back and rake them again, and repeat this process until you have the maximum approval rating. The second method requires level 35 woodcutting and completion of the Royal Trouble quest. This method is to simply cut teak trees on Etcetera just west of the bank. Teak trees only require level 35 woodcutting, so this should be quite a fast method of increasing your approval rating. Now, if you have a low woodcutting level or farming level, or your mining and fishing levels are significantly higher, you can always mine coal or catch fish to raise your approval rating too. The current image on screen shows you all the potential activities you can help your subjects with, so just choose whichever activity you have the levels for if you can't use any of the methods I recommended. At the end of the day, once you get your approval rating to 100% for the first time and keep going to Miscellania once a day or once every 3 days or even once a week, it won't take long at all to help the subjects and get it back to 100% regardless of which activity you help them in. Now, because your approval rating will drop by 1% every 24 hours or 2.5% every 24 hours if you have not yet finished Royal Trouble, you will need to revisit either Miscellania or Etcetera to help your subjects to maintain 100% approval rating as often as you can. You can help with whichever activities you want for this. I personally try to do whatever is closest to my teleport destination, so if I'm going to be using a Ring of Wealth, I'll generally just bring a rake and rake the flax and herb plots until the nearby NPC stops me, or if I'm using a fairy ring, I'll mine coal until I get 100% approval rating again. If you do this daily, it should take easily less than a minute depending on your method of travel. As I mentioned earlier, depending on which quest you have done, your approval rating will go down either 2.5% or 1% every 24 hours. So the longer you leave your kingdom, the lower your approval rating will fall. It is completely up to you how long you want to leave your kingdom without revisiting it and getting your approval rating back to 100%. Obviously, the more often your kingdom approval rating is at 100%, the more profit you will make. I personally like to try and maintain 100% approval rating every few days or once a week, but you could get away with leaving it for a few weeks at a time. Just keep in mind, for every % of approval rating that drops, so too does your maximum potential profit. The second important part of kingdom management is the coffers. You will need to deposit coins into the coffers in order to pay the subjects of your kingdom to work. This can be managed by talking to Advisor Grimm. Talk to him and ask him how the kingdom is faring, then continue through the dialogue, and at the end an interface will appear that allows you to deposit and withdraw money into the coffers. Please note that you cannot change the coffers while speaking to Advisor Grimm using the NPC contact spell. A maximum of 5 mil can be stored in the coffers upon completion of the quest Throne of Miscellania. This then increases to 7.5 mil upon completion of Royal Trouble. Every 24 hours, 10% of the total coins stored in the coffers is withdrawn as a payment to your kingdom subjects. This is capped at a maximum of 50k in payments to your subjects every 24 hours with completion of the Throne of Miscellania quest, and raised to 75k every 24 hours upon completion of Royal Trouble. Paying your subjects the most possible every 24 hours will give you the maximum amount of resources to collect, so it is strongly recommended to have at least 500k in the coffers if you've only completed the Throne of Miscellania quest, and to have at least 750k in the coffers if you've completed Royal Trouble. You can deposit a large amount of money into the coffers to cover future withdrawals. This means that you only need to revisit your kingdom to maintain the approval rating and not to speak to Advisor Grimm each time to deposit more money. For example, to go 1 week without having to deposit more into the coffers, you could deposit 850k with Throne of Miscellania quest complete, or you could deposit 1,275,000 GP with Royal Trouble quest complete. You can always deposit more or less depending on how much money you have, of course, as long as it's between 500k and 5 mil if you've only completed Throne of Miscellania, and between 750k and 7.5 mil if you've completed Royal Trouble. This ensures you're hitting the maximum profit possible at all times. Now that you have your approval rating at 100% and your coffers full of whatever coins you can spare, it is time to move on to the third and final part of kingdom management, subject distribution. To manage which resources your subjects are collecting, you will need to talk to Advisor Grimm and bring up the same interface as when you deposited money into the coffers. Please note you cannot distribute your subjects via the NPC contact spell. You will notice 7 bars on this interface. Each bar represents a resource you can set your subjects to gather. You can increase or decrease the amount of subjects working on each respective resource by clicking the up or down arrows to the right of each bar. The subjects can be split any way among the 6 resource bars available, with a maximum of 10 subjects assigned to a single resource. Any unused subjects will be shown in the idle indicator bar down the bottom left hand corner of the interface. Upon completion of the Throne of Miscellania quest, you'll have 10 subjects available, and with Royal Trouble completed, you'll have 15. Currently on screen you can see a table of all the daily rewards possible by placing the maximum of 10 subjects on that particular resource with 100% approval rating. The chances of receiving specific seeds is shown on screen too. This is based off of stats on RS Wiki collected from a sample of 1000 nests containing tree seeds. Of the 8 birds nests that you can receive each day with 10 subjects on maples, the amount that actually contain tree seeds will be a mix of birds nests containing not only tree seeds, but birds nests containing jewelry and god eggs. This information is mostly for Iron Man accounts, as kingdom management is obviously not about profits considering you can't trade any of the resources if you are playing as an Iron Man, and everyone plays Iron Man mode differently, so you can use this information to decide which resources you want for your own personal playstyle. Hurdler XP seems like the hardest XP to come by on an Iron Man, so I personally would recommend to go all out with herbs by putting 10 subjects on herbs, and then the remaining 5 subjects could be maybe used on maples for tree seeds for farming, but it is really up for you to choose. Now to the most interesting part of kingdom management, what should you have your subjects collect for the maximum profit? As of today, July 6th, I would recommend placing 10 subjects on coal and 5 on cooked fish. Right now, you'll be getting a minimum daily profit of 135k. That is 135k pure profit, as I've already subtracted the daily fee of 75k from that amount. That is the most profitable subject allocation at the moment. You could get lucky and based off of your RNG potentially get more with the coal and herb combination, but right now in the long term I would definitely stick with 10 subjects on coal and then 5 on cooked fish. Maple logs and tree seeds aren't worth doing in my opinion from the maths I've looked at to work all of this out. There is a lot of maths that this is based off of, none of which is very complicated, but there is just a lot of working out. So I'll also include that in the video description for those of you wanting to know the fine details on how all of this was worked out. I tried finding a way to present more of the maths in this video, but it would add an extra 10 minutes, and I think people just really want the straightest answer possible. So I apologize, but my working out will be in the description if you're interested. I will also reply to any questions that you may have with this, as determining profit can definitely be a little bit confusing. I will also keep my most profitable subject distribution updated in the video description. Obviously, the most profitable subject distribution as of today may vary based on the state of the constantly changing old school RuneScape economy. So if you are watching this guide 6 months on from when it was originally uploaded, you may want to check the video description now in case my recommendations have changed. One really important tip, especially if you leave your kingdom for a long period of time and the prices of resources change, is that collection rewards are calculated when you request to collect them. This means it is possible to have all your subjects set to collect certain resources for days or weeks or months or any amount of time at all, but if you change the resources your subjects are set to gather before requesting your rewards from Advisor Grimm, you will collect those respective resources instead. For example, if you had your kingdom going for 30 days with 10 subjects on wood and 5 on coal, you could speak to Advisor Grimm and change your subjects to 10 on herbs and 5 on fish, then collect your resources, and you will then collect 30 days worth of 10 subjects on herbs and 5 on fish instead. If you do want to make the most of this tip, you'll need to talk to Advisor Grimm, and when he asks you if you want to collect the resources your subjects have gathered, make sure you select no. Continue through the dialogue and you will then be able to modify which resources your subjects are allocated to collect. Talk to him again or right click and use the collect option and the resources will be delivered to your bank. Alternatively, if you are happy with what your subjects are set to collect, whenever you want to collect your resources you can just right click on Advisor Grimm and select the collect option. Hopefully all of this has helped and you now know all there is you need to know to manage your kingdom and make some nice profit with very minimal input required. Really, you should always have kingdom operating as long as you can visit Miscellania at least once a week or two to keep your approval rating up, or more often than that if you want more profit. as it's just free, super easy money that would make a big difference over time. Even if you profited around 90k a day from Kingdom and checked it once a week, that is still 630k a week pure profit for a few minutes work. Thanks very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the guide, and I hope you learnt at least a few new things to assist you with Kingdom management.